Hey guys, David here, BreezeFlippers. Well, it's Tuesday. Yay. It's not Monday anymore. We had actually, it started out pretty good this week. We're okay. I mean, we're starting out with some sales. If I can get a few sales or a couple sales a day, I'm very, very happy. We did finish out last week pretty good. Actually had a couple more sales come in Sunday that I thought I'd just mention too while we talk about what sold. But a couple sales yesterday, and I've sent out a bunch of offers today, so we'll see if something kind of pops. Now, I did have a sale that was ending it actually ended at midnight on Sunday. So I'm going to have to go in and reset a sale for, the next month, probably run it like I've been normally running it about a month at a time. It seems like that works pretty well. And if I look at the numbers, it seems to be good. I mean, we do get some sales on it. It's always a challenge though, because I always like to send out offers, and my goal is always to set the sale at 5% less than what I want. And then I'll send out a 5% offer and basically say, hey, here's an additional 5% off of our already discounted price. And people seem to react to that. So it always works for us, and at least that's something that we do. And but we're going to hit some more and try to do some more sales and set something up. Definitely want to move the items that are older and try to move those. But we've been refreshing items so much that we don't have very many items that are over like 100 days, but we do have some, right? Because you can't find everything. You can't always refresh everything. But let's take a quick look at what's sold so far. We have actually sold last Sunday. We had a couple sales come in. I thought it'd be fun to show those. I'll pop them up on the screen because they've shipped. I did sell a graded comic. This is Wolverine #2 CGC 9.4. It's a Silver Age Marvel Samurai Jessica Drew issue. So anyway, cool cover on it actually. It is a 9.4. To be quite honest with you, I don't remember. I think I sent this one in for grading. It was way back, way back before I learned how to, press and clean and do my own thing. But it ended up with a 9.4, which it ended up selling for $44.99. It did get $9.99 shipping. Sold a video game as well. This one sold the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Special Edition Xbox One game. Sold for $8.99. We got $5.99 shipping. So today, it's going out. We have some comics. Actually, these are cool. I actually enjoyed these. I read through them. They were fun. Then I decided to sell them. But this is the DC Looney Tunes crossover with Joker, Harley Quinn, and Wonder Woman. So, and the Tasmanian Devil. So you got the Joker and Harley Quinn on this one, which is cool with what is his name? Gossamer. And then you got the Tasmanian Devil with Wonder Woman, and there you go. It's a neat little story. And then you got the Joker and Daffy Duck, and who doesn't like Daffy Duck, right? Anyway, it's an odd looking Daffy Duck though. Look at that. Is that weird? I don't know. Anyway, those went out for $18. It did get $5.99 shipping. It'll probably cost a little bit more. They're a little heavier than that, but I don't know why I didn't price it at $6.99 for shipping, but it's just what I did. And then I sold a Battle Fantasia Xbox 360 video game. That's a multiplayer game. It's in really good shape, to be honest with you. It's it's complete and everything. And it ended up selling that for $16.99. It will get $5.99 shipping. And, well, it looks like they actually had to pay a little bit of taxes on that, so I don't know where it's being sent to. But anyway, it's not too bad. We're starting out the week fairly good, and at least things are moving, we're shipping, we're listing, we're in the game, guys. It's just the way it is. It'll move faster. Right now, with the way the economy is going and things are happening, in the world, all over the world, there's definitely some apprehension in the market. But we're still seeing collectibles move. And oddly enough, these are the two favorite things I like to sell. So we'll see what's happening. Now, we did have a return. It's going to happen when you sell games. It just happens. It's a bundle of 2 games. One worked and the other one didn't load. Now, I don't know, guys. I want to hear what your process is, but here's my process. I visually inspect every single disc to make sure that there's any scratches or anything. If they're clean, I don't typically worry so much about those. If I see any scratch at all, I boot it, check it, and see if it works. And that one, actually, we did check to see if it worked. It worked on our machine. So if it, we will boot multiple discs, and if we have a set of them and stuff, I'll do that a lot of times, just throw them in, see if they boot up. They boot up, great, we keep moving on. It's hard to, when you have 300, 400, 500 games like we had, to do every single one, but we've had such good luck in the past that we know that they're there. Now, cartridges and stuff like that, I test every single one of those, because a cartridge typically I haven't had but maybe 50% of the cartridges that I find, I have to clean, take apart, clean, do something with them, and to get them to work. That's just normal. You got to erase it, do it, all that kind of stuff. You got to get on there to get the gunk off of it. And but they will typically work. They're hard not to get them to work, right? But I do test all of those, and typically I'll photograph it and say this was tested. But I can't do that with every video game because it just takes all the time. I would say we test a very good majority of them, but if they look perfect, I don't do anything with them. We've sold hundreds and hundreds of games over the years, and less than a handful have ever been returned. Matter of fact, I can probably think that maybe 3 returns. So, knock on wood, let's keep it that way. But anyway, I feel like that's a pretty good ratio. I don't know. But this particular game, we did boot it. It did work. So it could be a lot of things, guys. It could be a console issue. It could be a weak laser. It could be, I don't know, it could be an internal flaw that we just didn't see. Maybe we didn't go far enough, but we always look to see. So my mind always goes to the first thing I think of, well, is this a scam? Is he sending me back a bad disc? And that's always possible, right? I mean, the guy didn't seem like it. He seemed like, he seemed upfront, right? I mean, just like you can look at their username, you can look at their profile, you can kind of look at a lot of stuff, and I always do, just to see what kind of person they are. And I got a pretty good idea. They're 100% on their feedback. They bought a lot of stuff. They sold some stuff way back apparently. But I thought maybe it's not. But I always try to take that in mind because I've been tried to be scammed before. So you do everything that you can. The first thing I always do is say, well, you're welcome to return it, completely. You can return both of them, and I will take it back at no problem. And he seemed like he really wanted one game, and I was like, okay, well, here's what I can do. You can send back the one game, and I will let you keep the other, and I'll refund 50% of the money, and I'll just pay for the shipping for the one game to come back, which is kind of silly. And then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, look, man, just keep everything. I'll discount it to 50%, and you can have the one game, and the other one just keep it if you ever get it fixed. But he decided he wanted to send both back, so I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. He chose to return everything, and that's okay. When we get it back, I'll test it, clean it again, see what happens. I adjust. It's no drama. But I have been taking some extra precautions in recent years because I have had a couple scammers that I know were scammers, and ended up when you push back and say, oh yeah, sure, send it all back. There's usually pushback. Well, you could give me a discount. I'll see if I can get it fixed. No, send it back. But then you worry, you go, okay, are they sending me back the same game? So I'm going to show you something that I've been doing. You may change your mind and not do it, or you may not do it. But any games that I have that are over, I don't know, I usually try to $15 and up. If I have a game that's fairly expensive, I will use this pen. And this is a Optics, I think it's called an Optic Z. It's a very simple pen. It's a invisible ink. It's basically, it glows. So if you may not be able to see it. So like I'll just put a dot somewhere on the disc, and I'll show. And this, I'm probably giving away something, but anyway, you see a little dot if you see it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but I put a little dot on the disc, and let's see, maybe you see it. I don't know. Anyway, with the little infrared light, you can just see the dot. And I will do that on all the games that I send out, especially the cartridge games, because those are the ones that have the highest possibility of being returned. They'll just say it's not working, and they'll just replace it with the game that I sent them. It happens. I mean, there's no serial numbers on them that you can verify against, so I use that. I've been doing that for a while, and that seems to work. And I'll also do that, guys, with high-end equipment, anything that's expensive. Now, like for a camera, you take a picture of the serial number, and that's always in the photos. And you always put that in the photos because they will, it is just the way it works, right? I mean, they're going to see it, and they're going to see it in the photos. eBay sees it in the photos. Everybody's taken care of. But sometimes, sometimes that, if you didn't do that and they try to do that and pull that trick on you, I don't know. You got to protect yourself a little bit. I like to inherently think that everybody's good, but we know that's not true. So anyway, I just try to take precautions, and those are some of the precautions that I take. I'd be curious, what do you guys do? How do you guys deal with those returns? What do you do on the really expensive items? I know some people use security tape. They'll close it down so that somebody can't just take parts out of something. Those are just things that always drive me nuts. So it's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of selling electronics. I just worry that somebody's going to go in and pilfer everything out of it and then send you back a husk of something that doesn't work. And you're like, it worked fine when I had it. So anyway, there's no perfect way of doing this, but drop a comment. Let me know what you guys do. All right, I was just taking a look at something today, and one of the things that I like to go, I said I talk about a lot of different sites, and we'll shift into comics here for a minute. I use Go Collect for looking at graded comics. Now, I know a lot of people use a whole bunch of different ones, GP analysis and all these different ones. You might find one that's better than the others. If it works for you, great. This is what works for me. It's fairly close. Obviously, I also look at eBay because, what is eBay willing to pay, right? What are eBay buyers willing to pay? I think that's important to look at. But for trends and stuff, looking at different comics and saying, okay, how much is this one worth? I like Go Collect. It's easy to find, it's easy to navigate, and I do pretty well with it. But one of the sections that I like to look at, and I always take a look at, is the CPI, which is the comics or collectibles price index, right? So I like to look at it because now they came out with the 2025 year in review, basically. And I found it interesting, guys. Modern age comics in 2025 are up, and generally up, and they're staying steady. They're not declining greatly. So that it's interesting because that's what I have a lot of. And then if you look at the Copper Age are dropping. They dropped over the year. So kind of makes you wonder, are we starting to kind of get into a slump, or is it just a soft market, or but prices have generally declined. In Bronze Age, it wasn't as steep as the drop off it was for copper, but bronze did drop. So in 2025, but it did remain a little bit elevated. At least, it did come down. I think they said around 9 to 10%. So I mean, it's enough, to make you wonder. And then Silver Age had the biggest decline. It dropped straight down to the bottom almost. It's crazy how many books fell off. And they were talking about, some of these dropped over 10%. Some of them high as 30%. So a lot of books. So Golden Age comics continue to go up. And why? Because they're just getting older, right? And the big spenders, I guess, the big spenders club, they call them, these huge books that sell, they spike and then it just drops and levels out. So it's interesting. If you get a chance to go over and take a look at it, I find it kind of interesting. But, the modern and bronze are what I sell most of in my auctions, right? I do a lot of Web of Spider-Man. I do as many as I can of different kinds. X-Men. Those are all the really good comics that people like to buy. But I kind of started looking at it, trying to figure out what I have on eBay, because if we're in a correction right now, I got to think about this logically. We looked at the post-2020 boom. Prices spiked, speculation ran wild. When you think about it, everything felt hot at that time, and now, that froth is gone. It's kind of cooled off a little bit. So I think right now, what matters more is quality. So good comics, whether they're graded or not graded, good quality comics, people are looking for that, and condition. They really are looking for condition and scarcity. So if CPI is showing that it's softening, it doesn't mean that comics are dead. Doesn't mean bronze is dead. It's just maybe grading marginal books isn't such a good idea right now. So it is making me rethink a little bit of strategy. Maybe target more true keys, not minor keys. Target low senses. Target high grade scarcity so that you can find books that are hard to find, that weren't many of them. And maybe be really selective with my submissions. So it's making me rethink a little bit about what I'm getting done and what I'm working on. Because, like I said, I will use this site and every other site to try and figure out what's the best thing that I can do and what's the best ones to send it in. Because listen, guys, grading fees aren't getting cheaper; they actually went up. So for me to grade a book right now at my my level is like $24.30 for one book. So the margins are getting a little bit thinner. So it's a strategy now, guys. We have to try to figure out what's going to sell and what's going to be better. So I don't know. Are you guys seeing a softness in the market? Those of you guys that sell comics, let me know. Is it strong where you are? What are you seeing? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So, but it does make me think a little bit about it. Like I said, if I can't make it at a 9.6, if only 9.8s are going to do, that changes a lot of what I have to send in, you know, and what's the downside risk and what's my opportunity cost and all that stuff. So I just don't know if you can rely on a broad market lift anymore right now, right? I don't know. I mean, something big's got to happen in the market to move that needle back up. And we're not going through another, hopefully not through another pandemic and or anything like that. So where we got people stuck at home. I just hope that doesn't happen, even though that's probably good for the online market, but it is definitely not something that we want to see. So I don't know, probably going to end up being fewer submissions in the long run. I will still probably send in 25 at a time, but I may do it every other month. We'll have to kind of see how it's going to go because I can get a discount at 25 books. Whereas if I send in just a few, it's like $27 or $28. It's a significant enough jump to make a difference, but it might be worth it on some, just depends on the margin. So anyway, all right. I know I've talked a little bit about my setup with the IPEV camera, and I was having some issues with it. So part of the issue was the lighting, right? So and this is kind of my practical thing. I was going to show you guys some changes that I made. I was looking for a quick and easy way without having to set up the whole photo thing. The photo booth that I built was great for taking pictures of anything that's really, really shiny, like the covers, like for instance, DVDs, CDs, and things that have a shiny outside, or the graded comics, because you get a reflection. So the black box tend to help with the reflection and stuff. But for standard books and things and just kind of flying through it, I liked using the camera, but not having to do the whole box thing because I have to put it up on something. Now, I tried elevating the camera on a box and a couple things, but it just didn't hold very well. So I made I looked around and I found something that actually works. I'm going to take you over there real quick and we're going to take a look and see how it works real quick. All right, I just wanted to show this real quick because this is what I've been using. And the camera itself, like I said, if you haven't picked it up yet, it is or if you haven't found one, let's see if I can get it to even show it. It is called the IPEVO V4K, and I have a link to it in my show notes. And this is the one that ADH Dave was using, and he turned off his comments, so I had to do some research and I found the exact one. But I was having trouble getting this to elevate and come up high enough to be able to get some of the books and stuff that I needed. So I did a little research and I found this. It's made by Corby, and let's see if we can show it here. It's made by Corby, and it actually holds the camera up and makes it so that it can go higher. Now, I did have to make one change because it holds it at a different angle, so it was actually holding it different. I had to change this because I wanted to go further back. So I actually took the camera off. You can just undo this thing up here at the top. Let me see if I can show you that real quick. Again, guys, trying to learn both cameras. You can undo this little knob up here and flip the camera over. So I flipped it over so that I can use this longer arm now. Now it can go further away, and it works pretty good. So I can get in here and do the same thing I was doing. And as you can kind of see, we go over here and show. Here we go. You can see that it's doing, exactly what we want it to do. So I can go in and shift the book around. Now I can go ahead and take a picture. I can flip it over to the back, take a picture, and then makes it fairly simple. So like I said, this is not a not rocket science, but I think it's going to help a little bit with the process and being able to do this. So anyway, again, this thing is made by Corby, and I'll drop a link in the show notes so that you can see it. Sorry about the moving of the camera, but it's the only way to show it. But it's just a little plastic piece. Obviously, it is 3D printed, and if I'd had a 3D printer, I'd have made one myself. So, all right, let's go back over and finish this out. So like I said, I think it'll speed things up because I can set it up quicker and get it moving faster. I will still have to use the black box setup that I did for graded comics, only because it just cuts out the glare and you don't have all that extra light. The lighting's still a trick, but we're getting there. So kind of the last thing to talk about today is, I don't know, mindset, okay? And this is something that occurred to me today while I was in my workout. So I work out daily, or I try to, because I'm trying to keep my health up, trying to lose weight, trying to do all the things that we got to do to stay healthy, especially approaching 60. I either ride my bike, which weather hadn't been really good to ride bike, but I'm getting back out on the bike here like really quick. And like tomorrow probably for sure. But I try to ride now. I'm trying to ride about 3 days a week, and I work out. When I ride my bike, I'm listening to podcasts, and I think this is my time to reflect, kind of think about things, and just kind of reflect on what I'm doing. And then I also use a Meta headset. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Meta headsets, but I use a Meta headset to work out with, and I do a program on there called Supernatural Workouts, and you have either flow or boxing workout. Well, I love boxing. I spent a good part of my life, 15 or 16 years in martial arts, and just love the boxing and all the stuff that I did until my knee blew out, and it was a whole thing. But anyway, so it kind of gives me an opportunity to get in there and kind of really work out. And one of the things that the coaches are always talking about in the boxing workouts, and I try to do that about 5 days a week, is that, try to be 1% better all the time. And that's all we're really trying to do, is trying to be 1% better, not 20%. We're not looking for viral success overnight. We're not looking for explosive growth. Just get a little bit better every day, 1%. And we call some of these workouts that we do are called monster workouts. And I've talked about this before about slaying your monster, but here's the thing, right? It's for the whole concept is really about defeating the monster. The workouts are long, they're hard, they're mentally and physically draining, but that's the whole concept. You're defeating that monster, and the monster isn't really the workout sometimes, though, is it? I mean, I think the monster is the doubt that can you make it? Can you not make it? It's the same thing that happens with business. I mean, you're thinking about in the workout. First of all, you got to get in there and do it. Then you're thinking, oh, do I want to skip it today, or does it matter? Well, it does matter, right? I mean, anyone can find an excuse for something, but can you find a reason? And it kind of relate this back to the business. And sometimes I have to really think about this myself, guys. It's like I look at that death pile and I say, do I really want to tackle that? Do I really want to do that? I always find a reason not to do it, right? I don't want to test it. I don't want to have to clean it. I don't want to have to do this, or it's just too many of them, and you look at that unlisted inventory and you're thinking, what am I going to do with it? Just like the stuff I bought this weekend, it's got to get listed or else it's never going to make me any money. It's sitting in there. It's $250 worth of items. And I got stuff sitting right here that I've got to get listed, which I'm going to do this week. But, it's the monster, right? That's the monster we're trying to defeat. We're avoiding these hard decisions. It's the monster. The longer you let it sit, the bigger it gets. And you can't defeat any monster by just ignoring them or avoiding them, right? So I don't know. So what I'm doing right now is, that's the whole thing, is like the way to defeat the monster is just show up daily, do what you got to do. Our growth isn't explosive, guys. It's not blowing up overnight. There's a lot of things that we could probably be doing better. I wish we had more time. I wish we had, more resources, but the way they are is the way they are. In order to grow this business any bigger, there's going to have to be, at some point, we have to figure out a way to refine what we're doing. And, we have to find a way to, make things a little bit easier, do the processes, get it done. We have to scale this in a way that it's doable for us, right? Because we don't have any more time to throw at it. That's the piece right now that seems to be really missing, right? And we start looking at this and going, what's in front of me? And all I can do is just slay one thing at a time. So I work on that monster one bit at a time. Every time it's small, I'm starting to try to do more and trying to get at it. I'm trying to work smarter, talking about what we're doing with CGC and everything. That's a tough thing. And, if you're doing the same thing with your business, guys, I mean, I'd love to hear more comments about some of the things you might be struggling with. What are you working on right now? What's really hard? What's your monster, right? So, I don't know. I hope that, sometimes when I put these videos out, I hope that I kind of inspire somebody to do something. And it just makes me feel good if I know that if I've helped somebody. I'm not trying to be a teacher, guys. I told you that before. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing. It works for us, right? And sometimes I learn from other people. I watch a lot of other people and what they do. I listen to your guys' comments and read them. And I see what you're doing. You inspire me, okay? So anyway, Our numbers, yeah, I was looking at it, just kind of saying, this is kind of where it's all leading, looking at the numbers. We're about even with where we were last year at this time. So we have a lot of year left, and we have a lot of time to make that goal. And our goal is just to do a little bit better than we did last year. And that's the goal. We're shooting for 50,000 in both businesses, or both, streams of income. And we've got a lot of the stuff. Sourcing's getting ready to pick up, but we're going to see a lot more stuff coming in. We've got some great trips planned to go do some sourcing in other places. So, we'll get the inventory coming. I'm not really worried about that. But, I think it's just in staying focused and staying on track, looking at what's ahead and trying to figure it out. That's been a challenge. We get a lot of challenges. Work every day is a challenge. They're getting more and more challenging every day. I'm getting closer and closer to that mindset that I really like to retire and do this full time. But we got to make some big headway first to really make sure. But anyway, so what's ahead for this week? Well, we're going to test that inventory when it gets back of the return. We're going to see what happens with that. I'm going to keep listing. I've got some set up to do today and tomorrow. So we're going to get a lot of books listed. I got a ton of books to list, and I got to get those dice listed, those Tamagotchi watches that I got. So we're going to have to get those listed. I don't know, guys. We're just going to slay some monsters. And I know if it's feeling slow right now, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of slowness to get caught up and catch your breath. Because like I said, we can't, it's just Sherry and I, it's kind of hard to scale this business any bigger than what we can without bringing on somebody else. And we're not ready for that yet. So it's still a small business. It's still a viable business. I mean, it's a 50K a year business if we can get it there. And I think we can, because we did 40K last year. So we're shooting for that this year. It's not a bad part-time gig, no matter how you look at it. So anyway, I hope you guys are going to have a great week, and sales pick up for everybody. I'm optimistic that things will pick up in time. If things kind of get straightened out in the world around us, in our country, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but it is some scary times out there right now. But I think, we always find a way to persevere. In over here in the States, we do make it through eventually. So, but anyway, I hope you guys have a great week, and you got a chance to build and do something good. I hope you guys can slay your monsters this week. Whatever it is, inventory, doubt, time management, get on it. Fight it when it's small right now, and get on it. And let's tackle it all together. I'm David BreezeFlippers. We'll see you.